see the screen? Okay. So good afternoon all once again. A very good afternoon to one and all. So I'm Sarita who teaches you BEFA and this is my 8th year in KMIT and I have 18 years of experience. 10 years I have taught in management school and 1 year I have taught in a B school and remaining 8 years I have been here in KMIT. Okay. So from 2013 I am in KMIT. So yours is 8th batch for CSE where I'm teaching BEFA. Earlier it used to be MEFA. Now it has been in R18 series. They have shifted from MEFA to BEFA, that is Management Economics and Financial Analysis, to BEFA, that is Business Economics and Financial Analysis. So here in the screen you can see BEFA is integration of two subjects, that is Business Economics and Financial Analysis. So Business Economics constitutes 3 units, the first 3 units, and financial analysis constitutes 2 units, that is 4th and 5th unit. So in the first unit, you would study about what do you mean by economics, what do you mean by business. Economics is further classified into micro and macro. What are the micro aspects, what are the macro aspects and all. And unit 2 is demand elasticity, which has small problems. How to calculate elasticity, how to calculate a few problems which we solve in unit 2 with a few very short problems as how to calculate demand elasticity, price elasticity with short formulas. We apply and try to calculate all these. And demand forecasting, we have methods in that. This is unit 2. And unit 3 have a big unit. We study about production, theories of production. We have few problems with that. Cost, what do you mean by cost, types of cost, what is cost analysis, then market, types of market structures, then pricing, methods of pricing. These are the 3 units that you have, which comes under business economics. And financial analysis, you have how are accounts maintained in the business, right from scratch, that is basic basic concept of recording the transactions and how do you maintain the final accounts. You learn in unit 4. Unit 5 is analysis. Investors, those who invest in the business, act as shareholders, debenture holders, and loans. All these people are interested in the performance of the company. So analyzing the performance of the company, there are 7 techniques, out of which one is ratio analysis. That's what you have, ratios, and funds flow and cash flow statement you have in unit 5. So this is all about BEFA, what you have in BEFA in all the 5 units. But before we go into the subject, you might having a question as, why should we study BEFA? Why do computer science students should study BEFA? This would be a main question in most of your minds, isn't it? Why is this for us? Okay, do you feel that why should we study BEFA? Because it's not a coding one, it's not a theoretical computer science, or it's not nowhere related with computer science. Why should we study BEFA? Why is this inculcated in JNTU as a credential paper? You know, this has credits and this is very important paper apart from your regular code. Why? Because There are two more things. 6H has left the meeting. I just want to talk to him or her. Why is this so? So here, the concept what I'm talking about is why should you study BEFAS, isn't it? So I'm not seeing anyone answering in the chat box that does this question raise in your mind or not. I see 54 is in the room, but no one is responding. Yes, why should you study BEFA? Do you get a question in your mind or not? Because I'm here to answer your question. Yes, only 4 of them have a question in your brain of why should we study BEFA? Not all. Okay, so remaining might be sleeping, having a heavy lunch, not interested to respond at all. Yes? So here, let me answer the question. So why should you study BEFA? So first you finish off your bachelor degree. There are two things that you need to. That is, either you opt for higher studies, or the second one is you go for a job. You want to prefer to join a company, or we may find brains who are having an idea to start up your own business, isn't it? Either you can start up your own business if you have an exceptionally good idea in your brain of a business, or if you are capable enough, if you are have talented. Yeah, very good, Nana, for decision making and basic information about business. So Anil, it's yeah, I'm coming to that. So here, either you join a company or you start up your own business after your further studies also, isn't it? So either you join a company or you start up your own business. What really happens in the business is what you need to know. If you join a company also, what does a company does? A company will also do a business, isn't it? What really the things happen around you in the company, you need to know what actually exactly happens in the company. What is cost to the company? CTC is nothing but the salary package that it offers you and what it expects from you. Okay, what it expects from you and how should you manage your talent, your skill, so that you can prove yourself where the company feels that there is a cost benefit analysis, that the CTC, the cost to the company is this much and how much is the benefit that you are giving to the company after they recruit you. So this is what the cost benefit analysis that is done by a HR team to analyze how important are you to the company. So for which you need to know what really the things happen in the company. How are people recruited? How is marketing strategy done? How are HR policies framed? How is finance maintained in a company? How is finance raised in the company? What are the various sources of capital that the company brings in? Each and every aspect. How much is the profit of the company? How did the company arrive at profits? What is the cost? What is the revenue? Each and every aspect of the company that you join should be known to you. Then only you can easily get through the job as well, perform well, and come out with a good hikes and good talent management. So this is if you join a company as an employee. But if you want to become an employer, want to join, you want to start up your own business, you have an idea, you want to start up your own business, then that's a good idea where you can apply all the strategies in business economics and financial analysis to start up your own business. So like for example, let us take a small example of an Uber. Uber, isn't it? We have cabs and autos, isn't it? We have even two-wheelers. And we have even nowadays, Uber have also started package, isn't it? Sending a package. So how simple is a business idea? 6E have joined now. Is this the time to join the class, Nana? Is this the time to join the class? Is it a theater where you can come at any time and leave at any time? There should be some classroom behavior, though it is an online class. So take care, Nana. Please don't do such things, leaving in between, coming in between. I want everyone to be here by 2:05 or I'll lock the room. Okay, see, these distractions deviate. These distractions deviate the concept where I am and what I am telling about. So if you start up your own business, like Uber is a small company where it doesn't even have its own cars. It's just an idea with just the Google Maps, with just a small computer program. It's managing big business, isn't it? So like for every trip, how much percentage does it go to the Uber? How much percentage that it goes to the driver? And what is the profit that it's gaining? What is the investment that it has done? This is what the concept of business, which if you have an idea, how can you prosper? As simple as an Uber or a Zomato, isn't it? What was the first company? Which was the first company which entered in this before Zomato? Do you have an idea? We have Swiggy, Zomato, but first what was the company? Swiggy Kakunda, Zomato, yeah, Food Panda, exactly right. This is what the first company which has started this business where you have service, isn't it? This we say as service. Now, before going to, a business is classified into two. One is production, one is service. Production is conversion of input to output by applying certain technology, and service is rendering service such as banking, insurance, telephone. Okay, education institutions, hospitals, these all are constituted as services. So a business may be a production based or a business may be service based. But do you know our country's GDP, that is gross domestic product, comes more from which sector? Is it production sector or service sector? Before that, you know, what do you mean by GDP? Gross domestic product. How do you arrive at GDP? What is GDP, Nana? Gross domestic product. How do I arrive at it? We calculate every year. GDP is one of the measure to calculate national income or the main measure to calculate national income. How is national income calculated? Based on GDP. What is GDP? Gross domestic product. What is gross domestic product? It's nothing but monetary value of goods and services produced in a country in 1 year is known as gross domestic product. And what is net? Net is nothing but foreign branches. Removing the production or income or expenditure of foreign branches, then we get the net income, net national income. So here, the most of the GDP in India, in a country in India, like in 1 year, we get mostly from services. You know how much percentage? 70% is from services and only 30% is through production. Anil has given production, but it's not production, it is service. And the 70% of service is GDP that we get is from services. So imagine where is more scope for you to start up a business is mostly service oriented. So telephone also gets under a service. We have so many competitors already, isn't it? How many services are there? Telephone services who have tough competition in the market. We have broadly classified into 6. What are those? Tata, Air. Idea has taken over Vodafone, isn't it? So quickly tell me. Yeah, Jio, Airtel, Idea. What is VI? I never heard about this. Okay, Vodafone. Yeah, Vodafone has taken over by Idea, isn't it? So therefore, we say it as VI. Okay, okay. So do you think which is number 1? Which has a maximum market share as per you? Is it Airtel or Jio? Yeah, it was to be Airtel. And then whenever till the 2015 or 16 batch, or I can say 17, I used to say Airtel. Number 1 ante Airtel. Why? Because it's signals. Yeah. So example of grasping the maximum market share, who is a market leader in telephone service. So I used to give an example of Airtel, but now it is Jio, because Airtel is still in an like it's giving an information that they are doing some technology where they want to make the service more better. So temporarily the services are not good is what they are saying. Even I am using Airtel, but still, as per the market survey, Jio is number one, is what we have heard. So, if you want to survive in the market, you need to know who is a market leader, who are the competitors, and what are the strategies that are adopted and what. So, this is about earlier Airtel, BSNL. Yeah, Airtel kante mundu BSNL enana. Do you know in which year they have privatized? So, BSNL ante I got a point. Earlier, telephone was not privatized. We were having only two, BSNL and VSNL. Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited. Once it has been privatized, then only these private have come into. As same as RTC, PSRTC, then as same as airlines. We used to have Air India or Indian Airlines, but now we have so many, isn't it? Airlines have also been privatized. Except one, we have only one which has not been privatized. Only one sector is still under the control of the public. Can you name? Under the government, where it has not been privatized. Very good. Railways. Central Railways is only one monopoly which is enjoying, where there are no competitors. Single monopoly, and no one can enter into this market as there are government restrictions. No one can enter into the market, still under the control of the Ministry of Railway, who takes care of the revenue cost and so on. So this is about the service of railways. Now coming to, this is what one of the things as to why you need to study BEPA. The second important thing, as one of you said, decision making. What sort of decisions will you take in the business, or what sort of decisions will you take in your employment? So like, can you accept a project or reject a project? On what basis will you accept a project? Why? Because here, accepting a project and rejecting a project cannot be taken overnight. You have to see what is cost benefit analysis, how much is the cost, how much is the profit that you're getting. And if at all the project is more than 1 year, you also even see what is the cost of capital of money. Cost of capital of money is, as the rupee value comes down, you have to calculate what would be the rupee value in the next year, end of 1 year. If the project is more than 2 years, at the end of the 2 years. Why? Because if you evaluate the cost and profit without considering the time value of money, you will be exaggerating over profits which you didn't earn at all. So for all such decisions, you need to study economics, you need to study financial analysis, in common what we say management studies, to take such decision to accept a project or reject a project. Or even there are some situations where if a company deals with 4 products, product A, B, C, and D, if one product is not flourishing, shall we drop that product or not? Dropping a product line, or do you want to add a product? Adding a product line. So all such decisions can be taken based on the managerial economics, applying the concept of economic policies, principles, laws, and theories. We take such decisions. Or even the another area where we apply economics is to understand the business environment around you. Why? Because business is unexpected, unforeseen, unpredictable. You have to be in a situation where you have to face whatever the situation that comes. Isn't it? So business environment refer to the environment around you, classified into internal environment and external environment. What do you mean by internal environment? Internal environment is within the organization. External environment is outside the organization, such as competitors, customers, suppliers, distributors, government. Okay, so these are all the externals. So you have to manage even the external environment and get through out the business successfully. So these are the few points as to why you need to study and why is it important. So here we have seen to understand the concept of advertisement, and the next is there are numerous benefits for the, and you know, apart from all these, this time I have signed 10 LORs where all the 10 LRs are for the people who are studying MIS, that is Management Information System or Management Studies or Management Engineering. Why? Because if you do a job for 2 years, once you finish off your degree, do a job for 2 years and then go for further studies. MBA or MIS or business engineering would be an apt course for you. Why? Because you can directly jump in for the executive level jobs. Okay. Why? Because management level courses will help you out to reach your goal or to reach the higher level of hierarchy with the help of these courses. So in this academic year, I have signed 10 LORs where the students are going abroad for their MBA programs, MIS, Management Information System, and the Management Engineering, which belong to these subjects, that is business economics and financial analysis. So this would be another option. And I think you know, you are aware what you need to write if you want to do a foreign MBA. If you need to write a foreign MBA, you need to have 2 years of experience of a job for the interview, and you need to write GMAT. GMAT is valid for 5 years. And if you want an Indian management program, you can join IIMs. IIMs are equal to IITs, ISB, Indian Institute, Indian School of Business or Indian Business Schools. So there are so many top rated institutes which offer you admission if you get through CAT, a common admission test, but it's valid only for 1 year. And few even take the score of GATE and get you the admission in these business schools. So the idea behind doing this management courses after your BTech and job is to get an executive level jobs right at a young age itself. So, and this is more costlier than your MS if you opt for MBA, but it's worthwhile. Okay, so this is all about why you should study. And not only that, even an individual who does his engineering course need to have a current knowledge of software market, what are the industrial policies, how to frame the budget, and how financial decisions are taken. And not only that, if you earn a salary, where shall you invest, where you get maximum returns. So do you have an idea of stock? Do people in this class have an idea of investing in shares? And yeah, very good, Anil. Yeah, Surya Teja, do you invest with your pocket money or do you have a part-time job where you invest? Yeah, 1992 scam. Okay. So my father invests. Okay, so you have an idea, Surya Teja, how to invest, how is trading done? So here, once you earn an income, how smartly you invest without having maximum risk and having a minimum risk and maximum returns. Why? Because people who don't want to take risk will simply keep their money in FDs. And you know what is rate of interest in a fixed deposit? Fixed deposits, what is the rate of interest for 365 days? 6.95 and 6.75. 6.95, not 7 at least. Yeah, 6.7% is for senior citizens. It's lesser than that. So here for 1 lakh we get 7,000 if we wait for 1 year, but in shares, in debentures, in mutual funds, you get much more returns if you have an idea of BEFA, that is business economics and financial analysis, how to invest, or if you invest in a piece of a plot, or if you invest in a house where you get a rental income, or if you invest in shares. So what would be the returns? What would be the risk factor? Each and every factor you will be aware of by studying these subjects, that is BEFA. So I think it's convincing for you why you have to study this BEFA. Shall we start with the main concept now, all of you? This is just an overview of the subject. We'll start with the introduction now. Shall I start now? Are you convinced with whatever I have told you just now? Okay. Yes, Jagdish. That's it? Only 4 or 5? Abhinav? Okay. Yeah, Satvika. So shall we start with, I'm starting with the first slide of our first class. This is the introduction of the business. Can you see the screen, Anna, all of you? Is the screen visible? Yes. So now, what do you mean by business? The business refer to a state of being busy. Busy refer to an activity, isn't it? An activity where you may buy, you may sell. What do you mean by buying here? Producing, buying, selling of goods and services for profits is known as business. So what do you produce? We produce furniture, we produce or manufacture. What do you mean by production? Production constitutes to production and we produce vegetables, we produce flowers, we produce chicken, eggs, and so on. But we don't manufacture these, isn't it? So manufacturing and production is an activity of the business. Manufacturing refer to applying certain technology. We use inputs to prepare outputs is known as production or manufacturing. Buying and selling. So what do you buy? We buy raw material, we process it and sell. And I said, what do you mean by goods? Goods refer to production. Services refer to, I already told you, what do you mean by services? You know, what do you mean by services? I told you. Yeah, what do you mean by services? Production and service. Business will be production or a business will be services. Production refer to conversion of input to output. Like for example, a furniture, we take wood, we take decorum, we take nuts and bolts to manufacture the furniture. These are inputs. Applying certain technology, we manufacture output. But what do you mean service? Service such as hospitals, telephone and all is known as service. Education institutions, all these are also service. Education institutions and the first concept what you get in your mind is Narayana and Sri Chaitanya, isn't it? Do you did you come out of such phobia now? My voice is breaking. Is it breaking now also? Might be a network issue. It's clear? Okay. Is my voice clear, Nana? Yeah. Okay. So here, education institutions is also one of the service. So services law, once we get the education institution, the one thing what we get, who rule the total states, two Telugu states, that is Andhra and Telangana, that is Narayana and Sri Chaitanya, isn't it? So these are the service oriented education institutions which maximum grab the revenue of education institutions. I think most of you are also from those institutes only, if I'm not wrong. Yes? No? So from which institute are you then? Anil, you are from which college then? Dharantej. Okay. Nano Junior College. Okay, Nana. So, but most of TKR College. Okay. So, most of them, normally I'm talking about your intermediate. So, most of them come through this where education institutions means intermediate maximum business is done by these two institutes, that is Narayana and Sri Chaitanya. And nowadays, a few percentage have been increasing from for these +2 colleges. Okay, so this is what is the business. So buying, selling, producing of goods and services, which we normally say it as an economic activity, which aims at profits. So at the end of the day, each and every business is carried out to earn profits, isn't it? Except cooperative societies, all the forms of businesses are started only for profits, isn't it? The name may be different. The name may be growth, the name may be sales maximization, the name may be market leader, or whatever may be the synonym, but the main aim, objective of each and every business is profit. Is that clear? So now coming to the characteristics of the business. The first concept in your syllabus is concept of business. So therefore, this is what the definition and characteristics of the business. Exchange of goods and services. This is what I said. Exchange between whom? The buyer and seller. Seller refer to the manufacturer or the producer. But normally, there are 4 chains of distribution. What are the 4 chain of distribution? Wholesaler to retailer, retailer to the ultimate customer. This is what we say chain of distribution or channels of distribution. Okay, so here exchange of goods and services between producers, wholesalers, retailers and the ultimate consumers. Now the next is dealing with number of transactions. So each and every business deals with numerous transactions, right from 1st April to 31st March. What all the transactions that do happen would be recorded to arrive at profits at the end of the year. We close the books of accounts on 31st March, so that we need to know what is the profit of that particular year of a particular company. Now, the next important thing is risk. Each and every business will face risk, isn't it? Can you say any business where there is zero risk? Can you say any business where the risk is zero? Let me know. No, isn't it? We don't have a single form of business which has a zero risk. Each and every business is associated with risk. Risk is there in any business in any form. Either you may be a small retail kirana shop or to that of a big MNC. Risk factor is there, and which runs in uncertainties, isn't it? Uncertainties is the first thing what we get in our mind is this corona, isn't it? This pandemic. What was the loss that has happened really to the business? Why our GDP has fallen down, and because of which there is no new notion of lockdown in Telangana also. Isn't it? The current trend, you know how many cases are there per day, but still our chief minister is in no way plan of lockdown. Why? Because it's a loss of gross domestic product in 1 year, which has happened in the previous year. So therefore, there is no plan of this lockdown. So uncertainties and like this unexpected situations. Existence of 2 parties. Who are the 2 parties? The buyers and the sellers. The 5th one is profit motive. The last one is business skill for success. So here, if you observe, why let us take an information of previous 10 years or 20 years, we still find companies which are started 20 years back and are still flourishing with profits. Isn't it? It's only because of the skill they are able to survive in those type of times as well the current trend of the market. It's only because of the skill, isn't it? But we see few companies which have started recently and they have still closed because of poor skill. Yes or no? Can you name a company which is flourishing, which have been started so many years back and still running with high profits? We can take the Tatas and Birlas itself, isn't it? Reliance, very good. TCS, very good. Yeah, Microsoft, Maruti. Earlier, Maruti ante small car ante Maruti, isn't it? That was a trend till the what we can say before 2000. A small car ante Maruti 800 was a car ante Maruti. But now we have oligopoly, few sellers, where there are many manufacturers who are entered into the market, such as Hyundai, we have Mahindra, we have Maruti, we have Volkswagen, like that. 6 companies are there who share the market. But earlier, Maruti was there. A good example on a 464, which has ruled the total market. And now still, you know what is the resale value of a Maruti car? I think you know. But in comparison with Nissan or Datsun, or in comparison with the other cars, if it is once come out from the showroom, it loses its value in the form of depreciation. But the value of Maruti cars is still there. That craze is still there. The resale value, the maintenance, the spare parts, the service centers, everything, the top position is Maruti, is still there. Very good. Ashus, yeah, I don't think this is started 20 years back. I don't have idea about this. Okay, so Reliance we can know because what was the trend earlier? What is trend now? We sold our Maruti car in kgs, ma'am. Was it? Is it a new car or is it Maruti 800? Maruti 800. I'm hearing this for the first time. Why? Because I think you have sold very late. Okay, exchange offer is better, isn't it? Where I got my Maruti 40,000 in exchange price and bought a new car. Okay, so rather selling it in kgs, you would have opted for exchange where you would have benefited more. Good, congratulations. Bought a Mercedes after that. Okay, so now 563. So this is what the concept of skill. Each and every business need to have a skill to maintain profits, to maintain the customer base, and also to maintain the old customers, and also retaining the old customers, and also attracting the new customers. And normally, what are the ways as to how the companies attract the new customers? How do people get attracted to the new customers with the new product? Basically, there's a media, what we say it as not offers, basically promotion, advertising and promotion. So advertising and promotion is the first main thing where if you show your product, if you present your product convincingly so that a consumer get convinced to buy your product. So always advertisement or a promotion should be in a convincing way where the consumer convinces and takes a purchase decision of your product. Offers comes when he is already a customer of your product. Okay. New features, yeah. Very good. You can add new features as how Activa. Two-wheeler where we have Activa, we have 6G now, isn't it? So they are adding few more features to still maintain market leader. You know, Activa is a market leader. We never see about offers. Even during festivals, neither a rupee would be reduced in Activa. Few observe. Yes or no? Okay. Now let's come back to our PPT. So these are the characteristics. Now coming to the functions and activities. So there are 4 basic functions or activities that are performed in the business. Production. How is production done? Methods of production, technology that you apply. So nowadays, manpower is reduced and most of the people are applying the computer skills and programming skills to reduce manpower and get things done perfectly without zero wastage. So what is a suitable method of production? Controlling inputs and outputs, managing the quality of products is what the concept of production. Then marketing, how is new product, better product is manufactured? What is the pricing strategy? How is demand forecasting done? How is promotion and marketing done? How is advertising done and distribution? How to meet the competition? How to meet the demand with supply? All such is what the marketing do. Now coming to the finance, how is finance raised in the company? How do you monitor it? How do you report the financial performance is what the finance function. The last is the HR function. How do you recruit? Right from recruitment is the first one. Recruitment is nothing but the posting advertisement in the newspapers or campus recruitment or websites or whatever is the first step. Then from the recruitments, the whatever the application that you get, you select, isn't it? The prospective applicants would be selected in the selection process. You may have a written test, you may have an interview, you may have a HR round, you may have a personal round, you may have a technical round. If you pass through all, then you will come with a happy news of offer letter, then you will get trained, then you will get placed, then you will be sitting in appraisals. What is the CTC, that is cost to the company, and what is the benefit that you are giving to the company would be clearly given with the analysis with HR team and what they have expected from you and what you are actually worth. All these would be having in the form of appraisals, one-to-one interaction every 6 months in the case of software industry, as what is your performance. Then wage and salary administration.
Is there something else I can help with?
Wage and salary administration, rules, monitoring the working conditions, and so on. Okay, so these all are the welfare activities. What are the welfare that the company is giving to its employers so that it don't lose talented people? Framing rules to monitor working conditions. What do you mean by working conditions? Not only the physical setup that is providing you AC, providing you fridge, or providing you oven, and so on. It's not that, but the working conditions is nothing but the working environment. There's a relationship of an employee with his peer, relationship of an employee with his superior, relationship of an employee with his subordinate, who peacefully deals. So all such is known as working conditions. So these all are monitored by the HR team. So these are the functions of business. Okay. Now going to the next one. So here, the next is now activities. The next is forms of business organizations. So once you are ready to start up your own business, once you are ready to start up your own business, I'm talking about if you're planning to start up a business. So you have an idea with you. What are the points that you have to keep in mind? What are the things that you have to see so that you don't step in a wrong step? Okay, for which while starting up a new business, the owner have to decide what type of organization structure will be best suited for your business, whether he wants to have the own business who manages solely what we name this status as sole trader. If not, you want to join hands with the partners where you find like-minded people who are ready to invest in your idea, what we say it as partnership firm. Want to start a business in partnership firm, or want to start up a company where the operations are very big. Are you ready to start up the business? So as I said, there in the private sector, these are the 4 forms of the business, which you can see in the monitor. Sole proprietor refer to a single owner. Then partnership is 1 or 2, minimum 2, maximum 10 in banking, and 20 non-banking sector of number of partners in a partnership firm who brings in capital, who's ready to share the profits and bear the losses. Then joint stock company refer to when the operations are too big and capital is huge required, then people go for joint stock company. And last one is cooperative societies. Cooperative societies is not for profit motive, it's just for the mutual benefit of its members. Example, cooperative credit society, cooperative weaver society, cooperative farmer society, which is formed only for the mutual benefit of its members who bring in equal amount of investment to run the societies. So in the next class, we go in detail. What do you mean by sole trader? What do you mean by partnership firm? What do you mean by joint stock company? What are its features? And what are the top companies who are in this form of business? Okay, in this form of business. So, but what are the factors that you keep in mind is, the first one is, are you ready to take up on your own, want to have partners, or want to have a company where you can raise huge capital? And also each form of business has its own advantages and disadvantages. The degree of risk, as I said, a risk is there for all forms of business. Either it may be a sole trader, partnership, or a joint stock company. We see risk everywhere. Liability, what do you mean by liability? What if the business runs in losses? Are you liable for your personal property also? Do you have a knowledge of, is an businessman's property, personal property, is liable to the business? Do you have an idea, Nana? Any one of you? Any one of you? Is his personal property liable for the business? And if a business runs in losses, is his personal property is also liable? In all forms of business? In partnership firm, in sole trader, in companies? Even in companies also? Not all, very good. So only in sole trader and partnership firm, even the personal property is also liable if the business runs in losses. But in the case of companies, joint stock company, the liability is limited to that of shares held with each party. Okay, shares held with each party. So that is known as liability. Tax rates. So according to your knowledge, what might be the tax rates? Which form of business has a very less tax rates? Which form of business has very less tax rate? Only sole proprietor, 18%. You are telling the rates of GST. Goods and services tax is a form of indirect tax. Earlier, goods and services tax was not clubbed in one. We used to have excise duty, we used to have service tax, we used to have VAT, we used to have customs duty, we used to have service tax also. Sales tax, service tax, VAT, customs and so on. Now everything has brought under one umbrella except customs. Except customs, excise duty, sales tax, service tax, VAT, ivanni kuda they have brought under one umbrella. What we say it as goods and services tax. 6N has left the meeting. 3 o'clock is the class still. Okay. 6N. So GST is what except customs, everything comes under one umbrella, that is known as goods and services tax, starting from 5% to 18%. Okay. So now what do you mean by excise? What do you mean by sales tax? What do you mean by VAT? This was earlier taught, but now everything is clubbed under, known as GST, goods and services tax. But customs have not clubbed in, isn't it? Customs have two components. What are those? Imports and exports, isn't it? Imports and exports are the two main components of customs. And what is the rate of customs duty? Are the customs of imports is more or duty of exports are more? Do you have an idea? Government gets revenue through taxes, isn't it? And most of the taxes are from GST and customs. Most of the revenue the government gets is through indirect taxes. Indirect taxes example are GST, income tax, GST and customs. Direct taxes ante income tax. So indirect taxes lo GST, customs. Customs lo a brand new car rate of customs duty is 100%. And a car which is older of 3 months is attracting 130% of customs duty. For example, if the car value is 10 lakhs, you need to pay 13 lakhs as a customs duty. And then you have to bring the car inside India. And a car older than 3 months is not allowed to bring inside India. So this is a very higher rates of customs duty on cars and also in most of the products. Why do you think so? Why do you think there is a huge rate of customs duty on cars if you bring, make in India, very good. Because if they're both like a foreign car is say having same price and an Indian car is having the same price, people buy what? What do people buy generally? We have a craze of foreign products. We in general, isn't it? Yeah, people buy foreign products in order to safeguard the indigenous companies which manufacture cars. Government has imposed such heavy duty. Okay, now we have banned China products, but earlier, China used to dump their products a huge quantity. So apart from customs, they used to have even additional anti-dumping duty also. In the amount who import cheste, apart from the customs, they should pay basic customs duty plus anti-dumping duty. Adi pay chesna, still Chinese companies were flourishing with profits. The government is curbing so much, but still people buy Chinese products and craze for Chinese products is more. So therefore, government takes necessary actions whenever required, not only with the basic customs, anti-dumping duty, additional customs duty, like that, so that to control imports not bringing much from outside India. And you know, exports, each and every export is free to export outside India. And not only that, only two items are taxed for exports. One is skins and hides of live animals and live animals. These are prohibited, and if you have valid documents, you can export with a 14% and 16% of excise duty. Apart from these two, everything is free to export outside India. And apart from that, the government is providing for EOS, export-oriented units, concessional rate of interest, free imports, or you can import any technology, you can import any software from outside so that you export it later. So government provides many benefits, and you even enjoy tax holiday benefit under section 80IA and 80IB, where you need not pay taxes for your income if you are EOU, export oriented company. It is just for your knowledge. The same as SEZs, special economic zones. If your area of your business is declared as special economic zone, you need not pay tax, isn't it? The same way EOUs are also availing the benefit. The main idea behind this is to bring balance in the payments, as we have more of imports or exports in India. Yeah, we have more of imports rather than exports. To bring a balance between these two, government have given many benefits for the companies which are started for exports. So this is all about the tax rates and all. In the case of this one, so tax liability and all, the main form of business organizational structures are these, isn't it? So we talk about the remaining in the next class. Okay, and see us, please do send the absentees now. Thank you so much. Meet you in the next class. Today I'm not conducting the quiz because the quiz of previous class is over. So I'll conduct in the next class. Okay, goodbye.